A homily today is two parts. I'm going to give a little meditation, thoughts about the Holy Family, and then our family, and then we're going to have another short video. I think it's 2.5 minutes, kind of showing how what the Holy Family went through and what we go through is going on all over the world, and we're called to think about that. So first of all, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the beauties of living 2,000 years after Jesus is we have accumulated all that wisdom from other followers of Christ. However, the drawback is because of our distance from his birth, we have so sanitized the Holy Family that it's difficult for many people to relate to them because we have given them the false notion that they were perfect, and we're not. How do you relate to that? Many years ago, John Powell, a Jesuit, wrote a little book called Good Old Plastic Jesus, to give that idea that we have made Jesus so wonderful that there's no way we can be like him. And I'm not trying to tear him down, but Jesus wasn't always a nice guy. I hope you know that. He got angry. He tipped over the tables in the temple. He upset the social structure of his day, the religious structure. If Jesus was so nice, how come he was crucified? Now, Mary and Jesus, we believe, were sinless, but they were not perfect. Because you all know that not every mistake is a sin. And they had a lot of mistakes. They weren't perfect. I'm sure that when Joseph came in from the workshop, Mary complained to him about bringing all the sawdust into the house. They weren't perfect. And think about everything they had to go through. Now, they lived under Roman authorities who were ruthless. You want an example of that today? Look at what's going on in the Middle East between the Jews and Hamas, or up with Lebanon. The way that people, with any moment, could be killed. That's what Joseph and Mary lived under, that Roman occupation. Mary was an unwed mother. Jesus was adopted. After Herod had found out he had been tricked, he ordered the massacre of all the children of that area, boys. So they fled to Egypt. They were immigrants. Would we have let them into our country? History just goes on, and that's what they endured. They sweat. Jesus was both human and divine, but in his humanity, he had to learn things. As far as we know, Jesus spoke 2 languages, Hebrew and Aramaic. He had to learn that. He had to learn how to tie his shoes, even though they didn't have shoes, but you get the idea? He had to learn things. And that's just like us. Now, with that foundation, look at your family, our families, the people we live with, even if we live alone, the people that we associate with. What causes all the conflict? Isn't it the little things? Think about the family you live with, the things that they do that irritate you. Isn't it usually because they don't do it the way you think it should be done? I really don't care if the toilet seat's up or down. I don't care if you squeeze the toothpaste in the middle or on the end. I don't care if you don't close the door or the cupboard doors. It's little stuff. But isn't that what trips our triggers? I say so often. If something makes a difference, whatever you get upset about, will it make a difference in 3 minutes, in 3 days, or in 30 days? If it doesn't make a difference, at least until 30 days, forget about it. I'm going to give you a homework. If I don't think you're going to do this, but sometime this week, sit down with the people you live with or you associate with closely and say to them, tell me one thing I can change so that life will be better for you. Tell me one thing I can change so that life will be better for you. I don't think you're going to do it because it's going to be something you don't want to change. And that's what it takes to be a family. Life for the Holy Family and for us is not always fair. I've said it so often. Life is messy for all of us. I bet every one of us has to endure something that we didn't choose to do. Life is messy, but that's life. But in that mess is where God is, because that mess brings out greater love if we're open to it, to give it to others. That's why we heard in the second reading today, your family, clothe yourself now with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, bear with one another, forgive one another. And the first reading, the scriptures give us the answer. The first reading says the way we treat our elders is the way we're going to be treated as elders. The way we treat the elders is the way we're going to be treated. I recently was reminded of a good old story about a husband and wife had a little boy in their home. And as days went on, the grandpa became very ill, feeble. So they invited the grandpa to live with them. But he became more and more feeble. He would shake. He would sit at the table, and because of his shaking, dishes would fall on the floor and break. Food would be all over the place. They were embarrassed. Whenever they had guests, they asked him to eat in the bedroom. So eventually they made him a wooden bowl that even if he dropped it wouldn't break. And they put the food in the bowl and he ate. That's how he ate, to keep things together. He died. Years later, the son started to carve out of a wood block. And the parents asked, "What are you carving?" He said, "I'm carving a bowl for you to eat out of when you get old." The video now, my experience with the video is I have a hard time understanding it. I don't think it's my hearing. I'm told that the original is not in good order. But 2.5 minutes, if you could watch it, and bear with us, please.